All right. Hello, everybody. I am Suzanne, and I am your vacation rental business coach with Welcoming Wow. And we are doing another interview for our guest club interview series. And today I am pleased to have Terrance Layhew with us. And if you could please just tell the audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Oh, what I do is a very long conversation. So who
It's
I
all
am is a
good.
little bit quicker. My name's Terrance Layhew. I guess I'm defined by what I do, like so many people. I'm an organic inspector, author, amateur swashbuckler. I travel around and do lots of different things. I've also had a couple of podcasts, and yeah, that's who I am and what I do, I guess.
That's you in a nutshell. All right, fabulous. And you are currently staying in a vacation rental. Tell
That's
us a
right.
little bit, please, about the vacation rental and how long you're staying there and what the purpose of this stay was.
So I'm staying in a lovely 2-bed, 1-bath rental. It's perfect location for me. So the reason I'm here is because I'm on an organic inspection trip. I'm going to be visiting like 30 farmers in the next, well, I've been here already for like 2 weeks. So I'm here for like 3 weeks in this vacation rental, which meant I was picking something very specifically that I could literally live in for 3 weeks. And yeah, that's why I'm here.
All right, fabulous. So, how many times have you stayed in a vacation rental so far in your, let's say, professional adult life?
Professional
Ballpark
adult
it.
life
Yeah.
ballpark. I looked this up because you're kind enough to send me that question in advance. I'm like, okay, how many times
Nice.
have I actually been gone? I've stayed at 8 so far, and that's
Okay.
since last August.
Okay. All right. And it's typically for your organic inspections that you do?
Yes. The only exception has been I had a buddy's wedding
Okay.
that I had at one point. I was like, why would I stay at a hotel when I'd rather just I could stay at a place that actually feels comfortable?
Mhm. Okay. All right. Fabulous. So your usual travel style then is for business, not
Mhm.
really for pleasure or anything like
Well, I
that.
try to combine business and pleasure because if you're going to travel, you might as well enjoy yourself. And that's
Sure.
actually part of the reason why I pick a vacation rental rather than a standard hotel. Because if I'm going to travel, I might as well feel comfortable when I'm doing it instead of, yay, here's a nice sterile room that looks like every other sterile room I've ever been in.
Right. And you don't want to stay there for all that long sometimes either. It's like it's okay for one night, but
Mhm.
especially if you're getting in late, leaving early. The nice thing about a hotel is there's breakfast a lot of times, but even that with COVID hasn't been the same as it was.
No, and,
So
and honestly, that's one of the main reasons I choose to stay in a vacation rental versus a hotel because I'm very picky about my food. And I like to, and I'm very health focused. So I try to make sure that I'm making exactly what I need / want to eat versus, yay, here's the really crappy powder eggs that they've served me at the hotel. And oh, look, there's industrial sausage. What more could one want in the morning to get moving? And acid for orange juice.
yeah, sounds lovely. You make it sound so tasty. Yeah, no, that's a great point. That is definitely a great point as far as one reason that people can and should choose a vacation rental over a hotel is for one, it can save them money by
Mhm.
cooking their own meals. And then number two, obviously with somebody who, is a little bit more choosy about what they put in their body, then you can do that much easier than like going to different or trying to find a restaurant, first of all, that it
Yeah.
even serve what you want. And then looking at the menu like, oh, okay, there's like two options.
hmm And
So,
especially with breakfast, I think again. So
okay.
I travel quite a bit for work, and I'm when I have to have breakfast, if I'm at a hotel and I'm looking for like a good breakfast joint, the food is really spotty. Either you're going to get an amazing breakfast, or you're going to go, oh dear, I paid for that.
That is true. So, what would you say would be your travel frustrations and fears?
So in general, I'm a creature of habit and routine. So I joke that like the longer I'm away from home, typically the weaker I become. Like just that because I'm such a habit routine based individual that once I'm off those habits and routines, it just throws my life a little out of loop. So again, part of the reason I actually chose this Airbnb specifically versus another one that was like a half an hour away was because this one is 5 minutes away from the local gym. So as long I can still make my gym routine work within a normal parameter, then it's better for me. My biggest fear, besides just my routines being off, is Teflon. Because
Okay.
again, I'm very health conscious, health focused. My concern when I book an Airbnb is, will there be Teflon cookware that I have to work with?
Okay. So did you contact the owner of the where you're staying right now to ensure that there wasn't Teflon, or did you just look in the pictures?
Honestly, I didn't check, but now you mention that, I'm like, that's something I'm actually going to add to my list of when I'm booking my Airbnb, is ask them, so tell me, what kind of cookware do you have
Sure.
available in your Airbnb? That's actually a really great idea.
Good. I'm glad I gave you a good idea
You
there for your
did.
travels.
Again, it's
'Cause
it's preventing an issue.
correct. It's preventing you from getting frustrated again,
Mhm.
or having your expectations not be met.
Because
So
again,
I know
part of the
some,
reason I'm doing this is for being able to cook my own food, which is
yeah.
hopefully going to be vaguely healthier than anything else I could purchase. And when I use Teflon, it just feels like, well, we're defeating the purpose.
Okay. Okay. There you go. All right. So when you're looking for a vacation rental, are you typically
Mhm.
looking at Airbnb, VRBO, or some other avenue to find them?
Typically at this point, it's just been Airbnb because the app is just so easy to use. And I haven't tried the other ones yet, to be fair. It
Sure.
was just, in fact, I think it was a conversation with my mom. I had made the comment I was going to be staying somewhere for a week. And I was like, ugh, I hate booking a hotel for this. And she's like, why don't you just download Airbnb and look to see what you can find? I'm like, huh, that's a great idea. And sure enough, I'm like, this one's above a coffee shop. Why would I not want to
Oh my
stay there?
gosh. How convenient.
Oh, it was amazing. I was so over caffeinated that week and it was worth every drink.
I went to a coffee shop the other day and they said something like sometimes they feel like they're serving crack because of how addicted people
Yes.
are to their coffee. So it's so interesting that that was one of the things that you were like excited about,
Mhm.
and chose that one just because of that.
Well,
That's
and
so cool.
genuinely, I try to find when I'm searching Airbnbs, another thing I take into consideration, and this is where I'm curious to expand into the other ones, is
Yeah.
what's kind of the unique trip for me to make? Like, is this in a
Yes.
different location? I stayed on a houseboat once and that was really cool. Just little things like that where like I'm adding, especially if it's only for one night, a little more texture to the trip.
Correct. Add a little bit more of that experience side, if you
Mhm.
will, and not have to pay for it or extra.
Exactly.
Awesome. So when you're looking
Mhm.
online on
Yep.
Airbnb on the app and you're
Mhm.
scrolling through trying to
Mhm.
find just the right one, what is your top must have?
Must have. Let me try to think through. The main thing that I try to make sure is that there is a good bathroom. I know that sounds a little odd, but if you're I have had some wonderful trips and some terrible trips over the years. And the ones that are terrible universally had a really sucky bathroom where you're like, this thing is rancid, which admittedly, Airbnbs, I haven't had an issue with any of them yet. But it is something
Yeah.
where I'm like, is this a nice looking bathroom? Is this a place that I'm actually going to want to be instead of cringing the entire time I'm there, worried I'm going to get stabbed?
So you look at the bathroom pictures specifically when you're looking at them?
Yes. And I mean, the
Awesome.
living room, again, there's just the whole general concept for me is, and this was even back when I got my first apartment, where is a place I'm going to enjoy being in? What is it?
Yeah.
Because I'm not the person that's like, I have to go out and do this and do that and do that. Once I'm done with work, I'm like, I just need to sit down somewhere and get my work done and not feel like I'm getting assaulted by my environment, because I'm one of those people that so much of everything around me affects my general mood. I'm just aware of that a little bit more than most people. I try to pick something where I'm like, this is a place I can sit and enjoy being in versus tolerating being in.
So I want to back up for 1 second
Yeah.
and tell our viewers. I know you just said a little bit about yourself, but
Mhm.
obviously you're very professionally minded.
Thank you.
You are an organic inspector. You're an independent inspector, correct? Like it's
Correct.
your
So
business.
yes, so this is my business. The way that it works is instead of being a staff inspector where I work for one individual four-letter agency, I'm kind of like a freelance spy where I work for multiple four-letter agencies going wherever they send me. And
Okay.
sometimes it's within my state home. I get back home every night, but a lot of times it takes things like going to New Mexico where I get to see sun and sand and more sun.
Awesome. And you are, I don't know if you want to tell us specifically how old you are, but approximately how old are you?
I don't mind saying how old I am. I am 26 going on 27, which is, I'm so proud of myself for remembering accurately, because usually I'm like, am I 28 yet? It feels like I'm 28. For whatever reason, those odd numbers, like turning 27, you're like, what's that? Why do we even have odd birthdays? We should just like have every 2 years, there should be a birthday, and we just move
You just
up
go
by
by
2.
Okay. All right. I'll keep that in mind. So 26 going on 27. So you're not definitely the what some owners may think of as their audience, as the people that they're catering to, or at least, I think maybe your demographic might be getting to be more that, as you kind of become familiar with that. So it's really great to get a perspective from someone your age, instead of, let's say, a 40 to 50-year-old woman, because typically people think that they're the ones that are making all these travel decisions. And while that still may be the case, there's still a demographic like you out there that people can cater to, if you will.
Yeah, the young professional still exists. And I always find it a little funny, because it's exactly what you're saying. It's not the typical. At one point, I was like, because on Airbnb, it like does that thing where it says, hey, tell this person a little bit about why you're coming there. And I'm like, oh, that's right. I'm a single 20-year-old who is going to be visiting their Airbnb. I should probably just assure them that, yes, I'm coming for work. I'm not planning on using their home for wild parties, et cetera, et cetera. Right. I always get that little chuckle when I see like the house rules and it's like no parties or overnight guests. I'm like, I'm not here to party.
You're like, I'm good.
I think I'm fine. I'm like, why would I even want to go out and meet people to bring home? We've got work to do.
Yeah. And that definitely is a concern of most vacation home or vacation rental owners, is the party thing, and they just feel like, do not party because you're going to mess up the house. Plus, usually a vacation rental is in residential neighborhoods. And if you get too many complaints, then you're not able to have them anymore. So that it's really like protecting themselves from a lot of that too. Plus liability.
Totally understandable. I had one Airbnb. I was actually, among the various other things I do, I'm on the board of directors of the International Organic Inspectors Association, which is an unique thing that somehow I'm a part of, but I'm a part of it. We were at our board retreat and we had booked through either Vrbo or Airbnb, this beautiful large house that we were able to basically rent. It was wonderful. The thing that one slight problem was we typically had like late nights just like standing around outside on the deck chatting like you do. Unfortunately, a couple of the neighbors were a little annoyed at the fact that we were doing this into 2 a.m. The good news is we only need the warning once, but yeah, it was one of those things where I'm like, I feel bad because I didn't think we were talking that loudly, but admittedly, it's one of those things when, it's organic inspectors, to those two people out there that know who another organic inspector, we get really heated talking about very important things about farming, agriculture, U.S. ag policy. Sure.
Well, if you're passionate about something, you're passionate about it. So there's nothing wrong with that too, right? So if you're back to then scrolling through those vacation rental listings, what is like the maybe top 2 things that as you're scrolling, you're just like, no, there is no way I would stay at that.
Usually, and this sounds horrible, it is the level of creature comfort. Like the more Spartan the conditions, like for instance, one of the options around here that I was looking at were like these little cabin things that were like tiny houses. Now that sounds like a great idea if that's what you're going for. Again, I want someplace that I can sit down and just be comfortable in, and not just a place to drop my head, wake up and get moving. Sure. I'd like it to actually feel like a home.
Okay. Nice. So the home that you're staying in right now, you said it's 2-bedroom, 1 bath. And is it in a residential neighborhood? Is it right downtown, a little out of town? Tell us a little bit more.
Right outside of a town. It's literally on the edge, but it's a part of like this subdivision complex, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Okay. Now, did you as far as since you're staying there for so long,
Mhm.
did they offer any like additional housekeeping services? How did they set you up for a longer stay like that?
They didn't do anything specific. The only thing that I wish I had thought of in advance, because again, I'm not normally here long enough, was checking to make sure there was enough toilet paper beforehand, like in the
Yeah.
closet.
Yeah.
One day I was like, wait a minute, there was only 2 rolls here. We need to make a trip. So that was one of those very specific,
Sure.
we need to make this trip
Sure.
to the store
Yeah,
situation.
because you
But
don't
again,
necessarily.
I don't think about it. This is
Right.
normally I'm here for like what, 3 days? In this
Okay.
case, oh, it's definitely a different picture. 21 days versus 7 days. There's a wide
Yeah.
discrepancy.
Yeah. And at home, if you have extra paper towels, toilet
Mhm.
paper, things like that, you know where they're at. You never let yourself get below 2 rolls in the
Yep.
house, probably. So it's
No.
like, oh, now what do
Well,
I do?
and that's admittedly one of the things that I always find it like an adventure game, depending on the Airbnb. Sometimes they do an amazing job. This is where this is. This is where that is. This is where that
Yeah.
is. I had one that I stayed in down in San Diego, which beautiful place. It was in Mission Beach. It was just off the water.
Yeah.
Only complaint I had was I had booked it in January. January in San Diego is still warmer than January in the Midwest, but it can still get cold at night. So I was like, where's the freaking thermostat heater button? And turns out like the thermostat thing actually wasn't even hooked up. So I had to find like the little box heater in the corner somewhere. But that's not a situation they have to deal with very often, because most of the time people are there. It's when things are warm and sunny. I'm just the oddball. It's like January in San Diego. Woohoo.
Well, and at least they had that option for you of some kind of, some little space heater.
It was just a matter of
you.
finding where it was.
Sure.
And I could have asked them, I'm sure, but I'm the person that's like, I will figure this out on my own because I will not admit weakness.
Sure. So you're one of those self-sufficient renters that the owners rarely hear from.
Yes. And I don't know if that's what people prefer or not prefer. Hey, so far I haven't gotten any bad ratings, so that's what we're shooting for.
So has the owner of where you're staying right now, have they reached out to you during your stay? Wonderful.
So after week number 1, they reached out and said, hey, just how are things going? Everything okay? And I've had no issues. The pans aren't Teflon, so we're doing great.
Now, did they send you any like information about the local area?
They have, I'm trying to remember, they might have before I came. I honestly don't remember 100%. It might have been in like that. I'm sure everyone here is pretty familiar with sending like that long block of text that has the basic information when you come in. I think there was something about like Carlsbad Canyon caverns are 70 minutes away or something like that. But again, because I'm usually here for work, I just scan to what's the door code.
Sure. You're like, where's that code? I need the code to get in. The rest I'll figure out. So is there like a guidebook that's like a binder format? Did they do something in a digital format where they've got like a QR code? Is there anything there for you like that?
In this one, I just saw one. They have like one piece of paper, house rules, and that's been it. There are other Airbnbs I've been to that have had like these full binders, and I'm like, wow, you put a lot of effort in here for me to be here for one night. Thank you very much.
Well, it's not just you though either.
I know it's not just me.
I
do enjoy that stuff because like in one case I was like, why didn't I go to the San Diego Zoo when I was there last? I'm like, that would have been an amazing trip.
Yeah, it's a beautiful zoo. I hear that they've even done some recent, updates and stuff to it, but that's besides the point. Have you been anywhere yet that has had a digital guidebook where there was a QR code for you to scan?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm going to say no, but among my many talents, observation isn't one of them. Unless it was between me and the refrigerator, I don't think I would have seen it.
Okay, so it should be on the door of the refrigerator.
Yes, it should be on the door of the refrigerator, but that has more to do with me being male than anything.
Still, if you want somebody to see something, I think the door of the refrigerator is probably going to be a really good spot. That's good to note. All right. So let's see. Trying to see what questions I have or haven't asked you yet. So when you check out of this one, what kind of rating are you going to give them? And what kind of feedback will you give them of anything that they should improve on in the future?
honestly, I'm going to give it, I think it's 5 stars is like the limit. Sometimes places are 4. I'm going to give them a 5-star. I haven't had any issues or complaints. It's been exactly what I need. I'm not the person that's like, ooh, how can I give them feedback so that they improve this for the next person?
Okay.
Because as long as I don't have issues and I can figure it out, I have no problems. So I'm the unhelpful guest in terms of feedback. Whereas I make like one little complaint to my mom about something just as I'm like, wow, yeah, this. And she's like, you should leave that as feedback. I'm like, but I don't care enough to leave it as feedback. It's just a minor inconvenience that literally I will forget about in 2 days.
Okay, there you go. You move on. You move on
Exactly.
quickly. Not a bad trait then. So then I have a question for you. So if you were scrolling through all the options, and I'm sure you set a budget for yourself of what you should spend. If you found a place that looked like super unique and like you really wanted to stay there, but it was say $100 more per night than you were originally budgeting, would you go ahead and do it? Or would you be like, oh, I got to stick to my budget and I'll compromise on the creature comforts?
I would book it for just 2 days. Or it depends on the length of the trip. So if it's like a 1-night stay, I will go well above my budget for a unique experience. If it is 21 days, in this case, we were on the budget because you're like, wow, oh my goodness, how it adds up eventually. But again, like if I was in this area and I found there was one unique one, that I'm like, ooh, that would be awesome for like a 1-night stay. I would book it for a 1 to 2 night stay. It would be above my budget, but I'd have fun and it'd be interesting. And then I would go back to, okay, this is what my budget requires.
Okay.
Because again, it's still a business choice. As much as I have fun doing this, it still needs to be a business decision.
Sure. And you have to make money in your business or why do it?
Exactly. I don't want to be gone from home for 21 days to find that I've spent more than I made.
Sure. Right. That's
little details like that.
Little details. All right. So when you've stayed at places previously, did you hear from the hosts at all after your stay? Like, did they send you any emails or anything like that?
No emails, but usually I get like a follow-up message saying, hey, thanks for being here. Something along those lines.
Okay. So just something real quick. So if you did start getting emails from, like, let's say the place where you're at right now, and they started, put you on the email list and started sending you emails, especially like, hey, because you're a return guest and they invited you to future book on their direct booking website. What would your thoughts be on that?
It's I've got 2 brains on this because I think business stuff. So I think, wow, great idea. Good way of staying in touch with people. However, again, there's also that odds factor of some people are not going to open the email or want to see the email. I am unfortunately that person who is like rigorously trying to, because like all of us, I get so many emails, but I'm trying to actively reduce the number of emails.
Yeah.
So for me as an individual, I'd be perhaps a little bit less interested because I'm not certain if I'm going to come back to this area. Whereas like,
say, unsubscribe.
I'd probably unsubscribe. But like say Denver, I go to Denver for work more often. So if it was a Denver Airbnb, I'd be like, oh yeah, totally. I'm going to keep an eye on this.
Sure. Okay. That's good to know. Let's see. I think I just have one other question for you. What would be 2 items of advice that you might give to all vacation rental owners since you've stayed at quite a few?
Don't buy Folgers coffee to put in the cabinet. That's the main piece of advice I have here.
Awesome. So have most of them had a Keurig or just like one of those like little pot?
Most of them have had Keurigs. And this is where, again, majority of them are doing fine. The only reason I'm thinking about it is because of all the things I like about this one, they actually have like a regular coffee pot and then Folgers. And I'm like, oh, well, then I guess I'm not drinking coffee here.
Guess I'm getting my coffee somewhere else every day. Okay. So before we end, I'd like to give you a little bit of an opportunity to tell the audience about your book that has been published. And also, are you planning to write any future books?
Thank you.
Take it away.
Yeah. So I have published a romance novel called Reason and Romance. It's a lovely book about an author that writes very serious fiction who says that romance is a worthless genre, who is, of course, challenged by a rival to write a romance novel. And he realizes it might not be nearly as easy as he thought. So that's book number one. I'm working on my second book actually right now. And a side comment, that's another reason why I try to make sure I have a really nice environment when I'm in a place, because I will spend hours in front of my laptop working on a story. So I'm working on my second novel right here, right now. And actually my third novel, which I'm outlining now because, we got to keep that production going, is actually going to involve travel a lot more and things like vacation rentals. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that aspect plays into the book, but it's in the sticky notes on the wall.
Sure. Nice. That's awesome. So where can people find your first book that's out called Reason to Romance?
Reason and Romance is available. That's okay. Reason and Romance is available wherever books are sold online. It's available on Amazon, obscure Russian websites, Barnes & Noble. And the easiest place to go is terrancelayhew.com, which is just my name, TerranceLayhew.com. And there you can find my book.
Awesome. All right. That was fabulous. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. You were a really fun guest, and hopefully some of our audience will have learned a bit too about maybe a different type of guest than what they normally have.
Thank you for having me on the show. I'm glad to represent what I think is the best of my demographic, and it's been a lovely conversation.
You too. Thank you.